And we are live. Oh my goodness, crazy, crazy, crazy. Hey guys, I know we're a few minutes behind, but we had some serious go live tech issues here. So I'm believing you're hanging around and you're there and you're ready for this thing. So wherever you're tuning in from, I am Coach Clay Banks. I am here at my studio in the Hollywood area, Clay Banks Studio International, where we teach on-camera film acting. And I am in the conclusion of a series, and this is going to be a speed round. So thank you guys for joining in from wherever you're coming in from. Always an honor and a pleasure to work with you guys and to teach you and to help you navigate your way through the wonderful waters of the entertainment industry. So welcome, God bless you guys, and we're going to get ready to jump into this thing. So if you have a notepad, I'd encourage you to take some notes and get ready, because we're going to wrap things up and get into the business and give you some cool insights into how to get yourself seen and ultimately a pilot show. And if all the stars line up, as it said, the show becomes a hit and you're on your way. So thanks for tuning in, pilot season prep. And we are rocking and rolling. So this is going to be session 5 of 5. I've been doing this for 4 previous weeks, and you're welcome to go back and find the teachings. They're all numbered, different titles on Pilot Season Prep season series, and each one's numbered 1 through 5. I'm going to do a review and then jump into the business of the business, but these are the dynamics in completing this thing that are going to be important for you to be able to just get yourself positioned properly, and not just thinking about it as pilot season as I want to get a pilot, but you want to be marketable is basically what it is. Pilots, I mean, we can shoot a pilot, you can get a day's work and it be done and never hear anything about it again, because the pilot then has to be picked up, which is a whole nother set of situations. So I want you to tune in for how to expand your net and get everything possible working for you. This is going to be a bit of a speed round, so hang on, and here we go. Oh, if you do have any questions, just go ahead and send them to info@claybankstudio.com. We'll get those off the air and won't take time on the air answering them, but we will answer your questions off the air. Also, if you'd like the show notes, we will get you the show notes as well, and any of the handouts that I discuss or talk about, we'll make those available for you. Okay, so pilot season. I'm going to answer a few questions for you guys right off the bat. First of all, when is pilot season? How does it roll? Historically, pilot season is generally gets warmed up around the end of January, and we're going into February, March into April. And that's the sweet spot right there, and that's what we got to be ready for. So some of the things I want to encourage you guys with is you don't have to just stick with one market. So where pilot season basically is the strongest is in Los Angeles. And LA is the area that you're going to want to focus on and centralize yourself first and most important. Second would be New York. Third, Toronto, Vancouver, and Atlanta. Those orders might flip around a little bit, but those are the primary markets where you want to stay focused. Now, I will talk to you about how to land pilots. Well, I'll just jump into it first. Let me get into it right out of the gates. How do you get involved in pilot season if you do not have representation? Okay, well, it's the same way you get involved with pilot season if you don't have a casting director. You can usurp the system, but it takes you being a person of initiative, integrity, and perseverance. In other words, you got to be a good business person. So remember, this is show business. You got to have the show, and everybody's excited about developing the show and acting and training and doing characters and doing scene work. However, all that without having any business savvy is not going to do you very good, because you've got to be able to work the business of show business. So here's how it works. First of all, just dealing with representation, you can have representation in different counties. So you just can't have representation in the same county. So like if you're out here in the Los Angeles area, you can have an LA manager or agent, Orange County, San Diego, that sort of thing. Of course, New York, Atlanta, and so on. And you want to present yourself as a local hire. And what that means is you'll see that sometimes in the breakdown, casting local hire. And that basically is saying we're not going to pay for your travel and put up expenses to get you out of here. You have to be here doing it and taking care of yourself. Now, some people don't want to deal with that because they don't want to pay for the expenses. And you go, well, sure, if I get cast, I'll pay for a hotel to work. Excuse me. But what about you on your way to getting cast? See, you can do a lot of auditioning via Zoom and teleconferencing now. However, when they want to take a look at you, they might not necessarily cast you right off tape. And if they don't, then you've got to fly to or drive to wherever it is you're presenting yourself as local hire, and you're going to have to pay those expenses and make that time commitment, and you might not get the job. So it's really up to you. I have a lot of clients and students that work as local hire everywhere in the world. They're just like, I'll go. They just they get agents in Canada, agents in Atlanta, agents in London. They get agents all over and representation all over. And then when they get a shot, they do what they can via teleconferencing. And it's not bad for you to say this. If they call you in for an audition, say, can I submit a tape? Make the request, write that down. Make a request to submit a tape. Now they can say no, they want to see you live, but in this climate, they'll most likely want to see you submit a tape and then Zoom next, and then from there. But you can request it. That way you're not having to haul yourself all over wherever you have to go to get these auditions. So here in LA, I've got clients that fly to Vancouver often, they fly to Atlanta often, and it pays off. Not all the time, but it's kind of like a gamble. If you keep putting it out there and you've got the product, then you can land the gig. So there's no issue with that. However, I'm going to talk to you about how not to have to need representation. So let me just jump into that right now. First thing, I want to give you just a little bit of a mantra. And the mantra is this: plan your work, work your plan, don't let emotions take a stand. Now, plan your work, meaning lay out a plan. Just don't throw a bunch of spaghetti against the wall and hope something sticks. Get a plan of operation for who you are, the type of shows you want to go out for, who the key players are. Plan it all out and then go to work on your plan, and don't be thrown emotionally. I know that's hard to say to an actor because I teach emotional access classes. You got to open your emotions to be more emotionally available. But yeah, that's all part of management. And then you have to manage those emotions as well. You can be just one of those stoic people that has no emotional access to anything and nothing phases you, but then you might not be the most human character as well. So plan your work and work your plan. Those are key things. And one more thing, and I'll jump into the business. You've got to know you. You are the huge, huge element to this whole thing. Who are you? Do you spend time working with you? And you might go, Coach, that's kind of crazy. Of course I'm with me. I eat, sleep, drink, walk, talk, everything with me. Yeah, but do you discover you? Do you really know who you are in the archetypes of character? So here's an assignment for you. I want you to go do a Google search. Now, if this was a full-blown class, meaning a session, and now we're working with you, we would do this work, but obviously I can't, especially in a 30-minute session. I want you to go on a Google search and put in archetypes, archetype characters, story archetype characters, and then see the barrage of different archetype characters that are out there and try to pinpoint yourself where you are. Are you the jester? Are you the lead? Are you the hero? Are you the villain? Are you the femme fatale? Are you the sexy ingenue? Who are you? Where do you fit in the breakdown of things? Know you. Know your interview skills and practice them. Practice in front of your cameras, interviewing. 4 steps to the interview process. Remember that. Number 1 is the first impression. When the Zoom screen opens up, when you first come on, you want to be looking right down the pike into the camera. Where do I look, Coach? Look into the camera and say, hey, just like I am with this camera or this camera or this camera or this camera, look right down the pike and say, hey. They might say, well, why are you taping this on so many cameras? Because we're turning this into a series that's going to be available for people, the pre-pilot season prep series, and we'll have all the notes and all the videos in it as one complete unit. And so We're capturing it at several different places. Know who you are, know what you're selling. Don't be that actor that's saying, I can do anything, I can do everything. You know, you're not going to take a Swiss Army knife to cut down a tree that requires a chainsaw. You need a chainsaw. You got to know what the job is and know what you're going into and know what you're going after. So I presented these questions. If you've been following along, I presented you with these questions. If you haven't gotten them, I'll give them to you again. 3 core questions in you discovering more about yourself. Number 1, what purpose do I serve? What character are you? What are you bringing to the table? What are you adding to the game? 2, what problem do you solve? Think along the lines of contributing as a problem solver and not just in there trying to take and trying to get something. And then 3, what is it that makes you specifically very, very unique? What's the unique aspects of you, okay? And when you're working on this, when you come in for that first impression, when that camera opens up, when you walk in that door, you're coming in with energy, you're coming in with a zip in your skip and a glide in your stride, you got a spark in your bark, you're ready to go. You're not warming up and getting ready. That should have already happened for you because that first impression is so huge. So just a little sub note on that. When you are getting ready to audition, you've got to warm up your instrument. And I have a lot of training videos out there if you just look for me. Coach Clay Banks, breathing exercises, voice articulation exercises. We've got them on our website, claybankstudio.com, under Actor Resources. It's all complimentary. They're tools for my students. And you want to warm it up. And you can get into an easy 10 to 15 minute pre-meeting warm-up that will oxygenate your system, activate your being, get the energies flowing, get that glow glowing, get your voice warmed up, get everything ready so that when you go, boom, you are in it, you're on it, and there's no warm up for it. That first impression is huge. When you get past that first impression, you're now in the interview. And this is where you become huge, things about you. So I encourage you guys, and again, I'm giving you fast bullet points, work on your special skills and truly make them special. Don't just load up that paragraph at the bottom of your resume with a bunch of stuff. Can you do it at a competitive level? Are you uniquely wonderful with it? So I had one of my students in here a couple of weeks ago, and I gave him a mock interview. And I said, tell me something interesting about you. And he said, I can do what did he say? I can do a backflip while jump roping. I said, well, really? I'd like to see that. And he stood right there and went, wham, and totally flipped, landed right back on his feet like nothing even happened. He said, just imagine it with a rope. And I'm like, well, where do you use that? He goes, Cirque du Soleil. I mean, he's at that level, a performance level where he can put that on his resume and know he can deliver it without a problem. And also continue to go out there and build your special skills. I would encourage you, if you're serious about working in Hollywood as a career, learn how to ride a horse. If you're around long enough, you're going to have to ride a horse. You might want to learn how to handle a weapon and a gun. Now, here at CBSI, we have a gun club, and we do that so people can understand proper weapon safety, how to handle a gun, how to go about, shooting different ways, whether you're the good guy or the bad guy. I mean, all these type of things are huge. How to take a punch or throw a punch if you're around long enough. Yes, ladies, you too. If you're around long enough, you're going to get involved in fighting because it's part of storytelling. And these are just 3 simple things that you'd want to be able to start working on and just add to yourself to make you that much more what we call production worthy. You're adding production value. Okay? Now, number 3 is the performance, and obviously that's all your training. Knowing that you know how to go in there and pull off the magic act. There's no labor pains, you're just delivering the baby. Great, ready to go, show us what you got. Boom, and you can execute. You don't need 10 seconds to warm up. You don't need to do a bunch of crazy things. You're not in there guessing and hoping there's a chance. You've made your choices. You know what you're doing. You've worked it out. Now, on that note, real quick, I tell my students that when you are working on your auditions, Most actors will barely get past the lines in the day and a half that we generally have to work up for a TV show audition. It comes in real quick, and you got to be ready real quick. So in a day and a half, maybe 2 days, I still have actors coming in doing privates and self-tapes with me, and I spend the first 30 minutes working on the lines and how to speed drill the lines into them because the lines are still an issue. Now, you should have good cold reading skills, and if not, you got to get in a good cold reading class. I have a powerful video out there on my YouTube channel. I spent an hour breaking down how to do it properly with handouts. So you might want to check that out, Power Cold Reading. Then, when you've got all that down, you've made your choices, you've got your number one key choice. Boom, here's how I'm delivering it. That's as far as most people get. But every so often, like a few one-on-ones I had this past week, two actors came in, locked and loaded, had their lines down, and what we did is we worked on their choices. And so now we're giving it direct on the most direct choice that we think of what lines up with writer's intent. Then from there, you work your way about 90 degrees to the right. Okay, what if this person were, say, softer or more gentle, more sexy or kind, whatever it is for the character? And then you work it out this way. Then you come back and you go 180 degrees the other way, opposite from that. The rough version, the edgy version, the aggressive version. So now what's happened is you've covered 180 degree of choices. So you go in and you give your choice. And when you give your choice, then you wait and see if they ask for a redirect. If they ask for a redirect, no matter where they want it, you've already trained in that area. Now, actors will go, no problem, I can improvise, I can get this knocked down. And in a lot of cases, you know, if you're a really good improviser and you can make choices on the spot, fantastic. But it's always going to work to your advantage if you've at least visited that territory and you know the ways that the audition can go, so you don't go, can we see it? Could you do it a little bit more, say, a little bit more sensitive, maybe bring some tears? Yeah, okay. You know, you're already making a bad impression. You got that, no problem, here we go. And you take the note, and boom, now it shows you can be directable. All right, and then the last part of this is going to be your exit. When you walk out of the room, I just want to give you one key killer point. Inside, you may be thinking, I just died in there. I just blew that. That wasn't my choice. I dropped a line. Something like that might be going through your head. And if that's the case, you can't let it show. So get into the habit of knowing that most everybody's making mistakes somewhere along the way, and it's not about giving a perfect read. It's about you going in there with a great energy, knowing you're ready to be in that room, and you're delivering the goods. And when you leave, even with bruise and blunder, you walk out there knowing, I just crushed that thing, and even my mistakes were terrific. And you have that attitude when you leave. And when you do that, guys, you're going to build relationships with industry professionals, and you're going to start winning the room instead of just trying to land the job. Landing the job could possibly get you a gig. Winning the room can help you with a career. So keep that in mind. Always building relationships on a long-term basis. Okay, so here's the deal. I want to open up the markets to you. You know, you don't have to just work in Los Angeles or New York. You can work also in Atlanta, Toronto, Vancouver. You can work in these different markets. Now, here's how you want to go about doing that. You have to do some research. And your best friends are going to be these Hollywood resources. IMDb Pro, subscription-based, but it's worth it. You can learn all about what's going on out there. The Hollywood Reporter, Variety Magazine, even Backstage. Stay connected to what's going on in your industry, what shows are in development, who's talking about doing what and working with who. Play the long game. I did my first acting role in 1977. Now, yes, I did get derailed for a while, but then I came back in 86, and I got derailed for a while, and then I came back in 92, and I've been here, well, 90, and I started in a smaller market. I started in Dallas for 2 years, and then I moved here to Hollywood and had to start all over again in 92, and have been here ever since. So it's a long game, and if you play the long game, guys, you're going to be a lot better off knowing who's doing what or what's happening, so you can start strategizing your plan instead of just what's happening this morning, what am I going to do today? All right, that's where business comes in. The artist is what am I doing right now? The business person is looking down the road. Okay, now when you start finding out those things, you're going to want to put focus on your producers, your showrunners, your creators, and your writers. Those are the key important people. And when you do a little research, you're going to know, is the producer also the writer and also the showrunner? If so, that's your go-to person. If the producers are working with the writers, but the producers have the power or the writers have the power. By doing your work, you're going to know how to position yourself and what you're aiming for. Again, producers, showrunners, creators, and writers. You want to learn about them and know who these guys are. When you get names on these people, then you go to your socials. You go to your Instagram and your Facebook. You go to Google and you start researching and learning some things about these people. It's not stalking unless you're hanging out in front of their house. It's research, okay? You're researching and you're learning and you're keeping a sheet together. Now, when I was working as an actor back in the 90s full time, I was in the house with actors. I mean, when I first moved out here, I had to share a house with 4 other people before I, started making money and was able to get out on my own. And what we did together is we kept a pad on top of the television, back when TVs were actually a box, not flat screens. We kept a pad on the TV, and whenever anybody was watching a show that they were into, because we didn't have all the computers and all the places you could watch all these shows, you had to watch them on television. We would write down, oh, I really like that show, NYPD Blue. Who's casting that? Who's the producer? And we would run this list on top of the TV with all these names on it. Now, it was much harder to do research back then in the 90s, but we did it because you learned about the shows, you got your head into the game, and now you were building a cachet of information about what was going on in the industry, of course, on the top channels, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, those kind of things, and Nickelodeon coming, I mean, it was just not the way it is today. There's so much more work today, and it's so much easier, but there's so much more crowd, too. It all pays itself off. But do your research. Then once you do your research, what you want to do is you want to start making some phone calls. I talked about this last week, and I know I could feel the hairs going up on the back of people's neck just last week. But there's nothing wrong with picking up the phone, and here's some reprieve for you. It's easier to pick up the phone and make a call now today in this climate, at time of taping this COVID situation, because there's more people that are more easily and readily available. And because they don't have to leave their homes for meetings. I mean, they're right there taking meetings. You can get Zoom calls with people you never would have ever thought you would have been able to get a Zoom call with, but you won't know unless you try. And if I were working as an actor right now, I've got several businesses on the other side of the line. I would be checking out what's going on in Atlanta and keeping an Atlanta section of a notebook or a spreadsheet, however you want to do it. What's going on in Los Angeles? What's going on in New York? What's happening in London? What's going on in Vancouver? What's happening in Sydney? I mean, you never know. I mean, a lot of those guys like to come here, but there's work over there too. So and if anything, just to keep informed, because people also move around. So you're not just in this little, oh my gosh, I'm here in my house, how am I going to get everything done? Let me tell you something. Last year's pilot season was not as available as this year's pilot season for 2 big reasons, and I want to encourage you with this. First is the obvious, Zoom. I'm here in Hollywood. Where are you? You throw it in the chat. Where are you? I mean, we got people coming in from Sri Lanka, Ireland, everywhere. I mean, of course, Australia and Canada. I mean, people are coming in from everywhere. So that wasn't really the thing a year ago, and it is now. Okay? And secondly, people are more easily available. You can get to them easier if you have the proper approach to go after them. So start practicing that and start working with that, because it's really going to help you out, not only for just pilot season, but you can expand this into shows, favorite shows. Like if you're digging Schitt's Creek, or any of these shows that are on out there. We got some Ohio, London, Vegas. Okay, some of you guys are, hey, Ohio, London, and Vegas. Good to have you guys. Any of the shows that are out there that you're digging and you'd like to be a part of, The same thing applies with them. Now, here's the thing I want to leave you with. You got to start off with smaller roles, and it's easier to get on a pilot that doesn't have a star attached to it, as opposed to a show that you're already a fan of, who, even if they weren't stars when they got on it, are certainly stars now. It's a little bit more difficult to get on those shows. Not impossible, but just a little bit more difficult. Okay? Now, if you would like any more information, info@claybankstudio.com. I'll be more than happy to get back to you. If you're really motivated and you're working on something, you can go to my website and set up a 30-minute complimentary sample session. I'll be more than happy to talk with you. Just be specific in knowing what I can help you with. And if you're not anywhere around a market, you want to be brilliant at the craft and learn how to really understand the art, craft, and technicalities of on-camera acting, check out the ACT course. It's the most advanced online acting e-course out there, and it's at cbsiact.com, cbsiact.com, and that will help you out tremendously. Guys, I'm out of time. This was a quick session. I'm finishing this series, the pre-pilot season prep series. 5 of them. You can go back. They're all numbered, and check the rest of them out. And I'll be coming back to you again with more fantastic information on how to keep you at your best, doing your best wherever you are, attacking, applying yourself, navigating the waters of the entertainment industry. Coach Clay Banks, until I see you again, God bless you guys, and be safe out there.